can get started. Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope that your week has been going well. And we are continuing like we have for the past month with our slow flow. And so in this class, we're actually going to start on our back. So make your way over, kicking your legs out in front. And then slowly lowering down, keeping your knees in a bent position. So that means that the soles of your feet are pressing down into the mat. And then if it feels right for you, you can go ahead and close your eyes. We'll be in this supine position for a good bit of the beginning of class. So if that's available this afternoon, go ahead and allow your eyes to slowly close. I want you to take one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly, allowing the elbows to rest down on the mat. So that way they're not up in the air and you're feeling the strain in the shoulders, just relaxing them to wherever feels comfortable. And just coming into the space this afternoon, feeling the inhale as your belly expands upwards. And then exhale as you imagine that breath coming up and out throughout your nose. Just feeling that inhale both across the belly and the lower hand, but also on your top hand as it's filling the chest. And then exhaling out. With this exhale, just notice if your shoulders have creeped up towards your ears. Press them down into the earth. And continue at a rate that feels comfortable for your body today. Inhaling, filling that belly. And exhaling from the chest downwards, eventually into the belly as well. Inhaling, filling the chest, the middle lungs, and then the lower belly. Exhaling from the top down again, from the chest and the heart, the middle lungs, and then that lower hand on the belly. Continue with that same rate, inhaling, imagining the breath coming in from the top, filling the middle belly, and then going down into the lower parts. And then on your exhale, that same pattern, exhaling out from the top, the middle, and the lower belly. I'm going to stop talking here so that you can just feel how that breath feels in your body today. Coming into this space, not rushing, just recognizing. And now that we've had a couple breaths here, really focused on the front body, I'm going to challenge you as well to allow that mat, Mother Earth beneath you, to provide you some feedback on the back body as well. So on your next inhale, just think about those shoulders. Are they creeping up towards the ears, or are you pressing them down and back, imagining the shoulder blades on the back body coming in together? And that action in itself might elevate your chest upwards a little bit. Continuing with that exhale, emptying from the top down into the belly. On your next inhale, once again, imagining the chest filling, embracing that space in the front and the back ribs, and the belly poofing upwards. And then exhaling, I want you to imagine yourself pressing that lower spine down into the earth, just spreading out through the space across the sacral area, the back of your hip bones. And then inhaling at that rate that feels your body today. Continuing with that same pattern. Let's come back, meeting at an inhale together. Nice, strong, longest inhale of our class together so far, filling up all 3 parts of the front body. And then exhaling from the top, the middle, and then the lower belly, out all of that air. And then on the next inhale, let's focus on the back body, expanding, pressing the shoulder blades into the earth. And then on the exhale, really grounding down through that back, that lower spine and sacral area. And on your next inhale, go ahead and release your hands, bringing your knees into your chest. And then just starting to rock them side to side. Maybe you release them out and you allow your knees to make some circles in one direction on your ceiling. And then let's take those circles the opposite direction. If at any time you find a little spot that could use an extra bit of love, attention, and breath, go ahead and allow yourself to massage into that spot for a bit longer. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and release your feet down onto the mat. Your knees are still up to the earth, or up to the sky. And your hands are gonna come down alongside your waist. We're gonna press up into a bridge pose. So I want to make sure that you keep a solid gaze upwards. Don't look like, north and south, east and west. Focus just on one straight spot. And then on your next inhale, I want you to press down into the earth with your feet, curling your hips up. And we're gonna hold up in this spot for a couple breaths. So making sure you're not holding it, but we're up here at the top at a comfortable level. I'm nice and stable. I challenge you to envision that stableness as well. Squeezing your gluteus maximus, your butt together, engaging throughout the core, and then bringing your knees together a little bit closer, engaging through those inner thighs. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and lower down onto the earth, one vertebrae at a time. Once again, bringing those knees into your chest and rocking them side to side. I want you to hug them nice and tight, wrapping your arms around the calf and the shin muscle, bringing your knees in towards your nose, curling up off of the mat. And then keeping that curl with your lower body, just allow your shoulder blades and the top body to lower down onto the mat. Your knees are in tight. And then on your exhale, go ahead and turn your knees over to the right. So I'm at about a 90-degree, maybe a little bit less of an angle. My shins are parallel. My femurs are stacked, and I'm opening throughout my top body. So I want you to envision with every inhale that you're lengthening throughout that top left side body. All those intercostal muscles, those tiny ones between your ribs, are opening upwards. You might have a goalpost arm with your left hand so that you can also increase that breath and that stretch across your chest muscles, those pectorals. And you might take your right hand and gently provide a little bit of extra weight and support on top of your left thigh. Breathing into the space that you're creating and exhaling out any discomfort. On your next inhale, go ahead and take your right hand down underneath your knees, guiding them in towards the center. And then once again, taking some small circles with your knees on the ceiling. Rolling out. Maybe you feel a little different after that twist. And then plant your feet down onto the earth, knees up towards the sky. We're going to come into another one of our bridge poses here. So hands are down along our waist, maybe at our butt. And on your next inhale, firmly pressing into the earth, sending your hips up to the sky. And once again, a reminder for you, keep your neck focused in one spot. I don't want to see you turning your neck left or right. You're at a point where you risk injury here. Engaging throughout the abs so that you're not just forcing the small of your back to take on all that weight. And then take notice of your knees. Did they drift outwards? Pull them in together as you engage the strong backside of the body. Breathing here. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and lower your spine down one vertebrae at a time. Once again, then bringing your knees into your chest, rocking back and forth. We're going to take that curled up ball position like we had before. So wrapping your hands around the fronts of your shins, connecting your nose and knees as close as possible, and then keeping that tight grip on the lower body, but allowing the top body to lower down onto the mat. And then on your next inhale, just allowing yourself to sink in. And then your exhale, bring your knees over to the left side, allowing that right side, those intercostal muscles, maybe throughout the armpit and across the chest to start to open. And if it felt available for you on the other side, go ahead and goalpost that right arm and take that left hand, providing a bit more weight on top of the outer right thigh. And then just like we did on the other side, go ahead and breathe into that additional space that you're working to create here. On your next inhale, allow your left hand to come underneath your knees, bringing them into the center of your mat. And then releasing your feet out nice and long, legs are long, pointing your toes, bringing your hands up overhead as if you're stretching up and out across both sides of the body in an early morning stretch. Inhale as you expand and exhale as you release. And then I want you to bring your feet back down onto the mat and then slowly make your way into a tabletop position. So you're just going to allow yourself to turn over, coming into that tabletop position. My hands are stacked underneath my shoulders. My knees are underneath my hips. And I'm preparing for our cat-cow. So on the inhale, I want you to look up imagine the space being created across your chest. My booty is lifted. And then exhale as you press away from the earth, coming up into a cat spine, really creating that nice C throughout the back. And then inhale as you drop down, allowing the chest, chin, and booty to expand out. Inhale as you press away from the earth, increasing the space in the back body and engaging throughout the shoelace, that top part of your feet, by pressing down into the earth. And then continue like this at whatever kind of pace works for you today. The inhale as you press up and back into our cat, and then the exhale as you're increasing the space across your chest. Adding in any additional movements, maybe side to side, whatever feels good in your body today. And then come back into our flat back, that tabletop position, and flip the right palm upside down so that you can see the palm, the underside of your hand, but your fingers are facing towards your knees. And then just rocking back and forth a little bit, side to side, whatever feels right today for you. Keeping a micro bend in both of your elbows as you're going through this motion. And then flipping that hand right side up and allowing the other wrist to flip so that your fingers are facing towards your left knee. And then once again, side to side, front to back, however it feels good. For me, that stretch really comes across the front of the forearm. And I'm sure a lot of us are spent too much time on the computers and texting. So hopefully that feels good for you as well. And then flipping that palm back, coming into our tabletop position, and then sticking that right foot back, rocking side to side, front to back here as well, engaging throughout the calf muscle. And then holding at the back of the mat, really increasing that tension and stretching throughout the back of that right leg. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and lift that right leg up, nice and flat. And then extend the left arm if you'd like a little bit more of a challenge today. My left thumb is facing up towards the heavens. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and release back down into tabletop. Exhale as you step back onto that left toes, rocking forward and back. And maybe this time you bring your wrist out to the side. So I have my fingertips facing the short end of my mat. My wrists are in looking at each other, just taking another way for you to stretch out. And then let's hold at the back, increasing that stretch across the calf muscle into the hamstrings and the quads of the upper legs. And then flipping our wrist back so our fingertips are facing the top of the mat. Inhaling as we lift that left leg back, my toe is facing downwards. And if you'd like the additional balance point, go ahead and bring your right hand up alongside your ears. Your thumb is facing the sky. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and release back, pressing into our child's pose here. So allowing your body to feel where you want the stretch, and you can experiment. I'm in a traditional child's pose with my knees together and my toes together, but you can also keep your toes together, spread your knees out to the length of the side of the mat. And then lots of options for your hands. You can army ant them, like I'd say, tent them as you walk them forward, or you can allow your hands, your forearms to rest on the mat. With every exhale, I challenge you to think about, how can I sink my heavy hip bones, those stabilizing bones, down into the earth? And then on your next inhale, walk both hands over to the left side. Maybe your right hand is able to stack up on top of your left palm. And just like we focused on grounding down throughout the hips in that last center position, do the same thing here. Focusing on grounding down throughout the right hip, so that entire right side from hip the whole way up through your ribs, your armpit, and then into your right fingers has a nice arc to it, a nice stretch. And then on your next inhale, take your hands back to center and slowly walk them up. And then if you're in a traditional child's pose where your knees are together, let's take your knees out to the side of the mat. My toes are still touching and I'm almost sitting up on my heels. And then I want you to inhale as you take your hands back behind you and just puff out your chest on the exhale. Inhale once again. Exhale. Out and up. Once more. Inhale, bringing your chest out and upwards. And then exhale out through the mouth. Nice job. And then on your next inhale, bringing yourself back to a neutral stacked spine. And then exhale, walk your hands out in front, coming back into that wide-legged or more traditionally closed-legged child's pose, whatever works for you. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and take your hands both over to that right side. Exhaling and imagining you sending that grounding support, that weight to the outer left hip. Feeling wherever that stretch is hitting you today. Maybe it is down in that left hip. Maybe it is in the left elbow. Maybe it's in the left armpit or along the left ribs. Inhaling and exhaling as you increase that space. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and bring your hands back to center once again. And then on your exhale, come back up into our tabletop position here. Nice flat back, stacking shoulders, wrists, elbows, and knees. And then tuck your toes. And on your inhale, go ahead and press away from the earth, creating a nice little hover for your knees, just about an inch or two up off of the earth. I have a micro bend in my elbows, as you can see, and then lower down onto the mat, coming into our child's pose once again. Let's do that once more. Inhale as you rise up into your flat back tabletop, tucking your toes, and then exhale as you press away from the earth, allowing your knees to hover up off of the mat. And then slowly tilting back, allowing yourself to come into whatever your downward dog looks like today. It's our first one of our time together, so just feel how it feels. I'm walking my dog, or slowly allowing each one of my heels to come down onto the mat, I encourage you to have a nice bend in your knees, pressing the earth away with your hands, and then finding a point of stillness. If that means you have a nice bend in your knees, by all means, take that. And let's take 3 breaths here. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Doing that once again. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Last one like that. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and rock forward, coming into our proper plank position. Taking a couple breaths here as we're engaging throughout our abs, keeping a micro bend in our elbows, and imagining someone is pulling at us throughout our heels. And then lower down onto your knees, coming back into a child's position, and then flipping your palms upwards. So as if you were, on the side of a street and asking for alms. Our palms are facing upwards, our forehead is down on the mat. And just taking a couple breaths here. It might feel good for you to roll out your wrists a little bit. Not sure, but it could be nice. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and come back up into our tabletop position. I'm gonna have you stick that right foot back. I'm up on my toes of my right foot. And then I'm gonna pick my left foot up and I'm gonna take it and swing it out to the side. That's gonna cause my right foot to roll down onto the earth. And then I'm gonna inhale as I bring my hand up to the sky. And then I invite you to play around. Taking a rainbow as you inhaling and exhaling that arm. Maybe your arm goes up overhead. Maybe you prefer it to come down to the side of your body. And to help with stability on the bottom half as you're creating movement in the top, I want you to take that straight leg, that right leg, and press that pinky toe edge of the foot down into the earth. And then envision that left bent leg and press the top, that shoelace part of the foot down into the mat. So you're grounded on the bottom while you're moving with the top arm. And then the next time you bring your hand forward, go ahead and keep it up there. And then just like I really like to think about creating that arch, that rainbow in the body, because we know that straight line is the shortest distance between 2 points. And since yoga is about creating space, I want that arch to allow more space to come into my side body. And then go ahead, releasing your hands down on the mat, realigning your legs, and then give your booty a little shake here. Maybe rolling your neck side to side. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So taking that left foot back, coming up onto the toes, and then picking up the right foot and flipping it as it comes back, which will then force the left foot to roll up and allow my left hand to reach to the sky. Inhaling and exhaling as I rainbow that left hand up over top of my body. Keeping that micro bend in my lower right arm and stabilizing me by pressing that pinky toe edge of the left foot into the earth and the shoelace top part of my right foot down. And then the next time you bring your arm, that left arm up over your head, allow it to stay there. And then flip the thumb down so that your palm is facing me. High. And then open throughout the chest, creating that rainbow, that arc. Breathing here. And then on your next inhale, allow yourself to come back into our tabletop position, tucking your toes, and then slowly rising back up into our downward facing dog. Breathing here. And then on your next inhale, slowly look forward and allow yourself to walk, step, or jump the feet to the top of the mat. My knees have a nice bend in them. My hands are making contact with the earth. If you need, go ahead and grab a prop or anything to bring the earth to you. My chest is fully seated over top of my thighs. And then on your inhale, I want you to come up into a chair pose. Arms overhead. I'm in that nice position here as if someone is pulling down and back throughout my booty. I'm sinking into my hips, but yet my chest is lifted up. Nice job. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and slowly rise up, coming to our Tadasana at the top of the mat. Hands in a prayer position at our chest. And then just breathing here. Feeling that inhale and exhale, the ribs expanding and contracting. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and bring your hands up overhead. Interlace your fingers, but release the pointer fingers. And then start to rock side to side. And then coming back, arms up overhead. Inhale as you stretch up. And then exhale, hinging at your hips, bending your knees and folding forward, releasing down into our forward fold. Inhale as we press our hands into our shins, coming into a halfway lift. Exhale, bending our knees, planting our hands, and imagining as if we're starting to straighten our knees and that our hips are being pulled upwards. Doing that knee bend and then upward motion, stretching out through the backs of the legs a couple times here. And then staying low, planting the palms down into the earth and stepping that right foot back. Coming up onto our tented fingers as we are in our low lunge here. And then on your next inhale, pressing into the earth, rising your arms up, coming into our high lunge. Engaging, maybe you feel that stretch along the front of that right leg. And then spinning that back foot down, rising up, bringing our hands out, coming into our warrior two. Nice, strong, engaged arms. Our ankle and knee are aligned, and we're pressing to the outside pinky toe edge of our right foot backwards. And then on our inhale, allowing our left arm to tilt upwards. And then exhale as you bring your hands down on the opposite sides of your knees, pressing upwards, coming into our downward facing dog. And breathing here. On your next inhale, rocking forward, coming into our plank, and then lowering down our knees, chest and chin, releasing to the mat. And then inhale as we press up into our low cobra, engaging throughout our abs and lowering down, forehead into the mat, and then pressing back up into our downward facing dog. On your next inhale, walk, step, or jump your feet to the top of the mat, folding forward. Inhale as we rise to a halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, bending our knees, making contact on our thighs and across our chest. And then inhale, rising up through our chair pose. Once again, booty is coming back as if the toes could come off the earth. My abs are engaged and my chest is facing up. And then on your next inhale, bringing your hands together and slowly rising up. Breathing here. On your next inhale, bringing your hands up overhead, interlacing the fingers, but releasing that pointer. And then rocking side to side, making half moons, just like we did with the other side. And then coming back to center, inhaling, lengthening, exhale, hinging at your hips and your knees, folding forward. Allowing your hands to rest on the earth, bending your knees, and doing a little bit of those knee bends, stretching out throughout the back of the hamstrings. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and rise up to a halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold forward. And then this time, let's step that left foot back, coming into our low lunge with the right foot forward. Inhale as we rise into our high lunge, having a breath here. And then exhale as we flip that back foot down, parallel to that short edge of the mat, and extending outwards to our warrior two. Nice, strong, engaged throughout the inner thighs. I'm stacking my knee and my ankle together. Shoulders, making sure there's a nice space between those and your ears. And then on your next inhale, allowing that front right arm to extend up, keeping that knee of the front leg bent. And then exhale, circling both arms down, coming into the earth, pressing away, and coming back into our downward facing dog. Breathing here. On our next inhale, coming forward into our high plank, and then exhale, lowering knees, chest, and chin. Inhale as we press up into our cobra. Exhale as we fold down and then press back into our downward facing dog. On our next inhale, bending your knees, looking forward, walking, stepping, or jumping your feet to the top of the mat, folding over, and then inhale as you rise halfway up, flat back. Exhale as we fold forward, and then making contact with our chest and our thighs as we inhale, rising up into our chair pose, holding here, taking notice of your shoulders. Maybe you take your hands out to the side if that's too much strain on your shoulders. And then interlacing your hands behind your back and then tipping forward, feeling that stretch along the backs of the legs. Maybe you open your legs a little further apart, about hip width, and then allowing those interlaced fingers to fall forward. And then releasing your hands down onto the earth. Once again, making contact with your chest and your thighs, rising up to our chair pose. And then inhale as you come up, allowing your hands to come to heart center. Maybe you close your eyes for a couple breaths here. Just feeling what it feels like in your body. Nice job, everyone. I'm gonna have you inhale, both hands up in the air, and then exhale as we come back into our chair pose. Once again, last one, I promise you. And then slowly tipping forward, hands on the earth, allowing the hip bones to rise up, bending your knees, and then coming down slowly, making your way into our tabletop position here. Once again, rocking over onto one side so that you can allow your feet to come out into the front of the mat. Give them a little bit of a bounce. Sitting up on our booty here. Nice job. And then whenever that feels good, bring the soles of your feet together. We're coming into our cobbler's pose here. So I have my hands on the pinky toe side of my edge of my foot. I'm inhaling my chest and chin upwards. And then on my exhale, I'm leaning forward until I can no longer go forward. Then I drop my head, allowing that stretch to come up throughout the back of my body, my neck, and into the inner thighs and the groin. On your next inhale, slowly rolling up, stacking your spine, allowing that right leg to come out to the front of the mat, keeping that left one in close, and allowing that left heel to come into that sacred space on the inner right thigh. I want you to inhale as you bring your hands up overhead, and then exhale as you take a small twist, taking your chest out and over your right leg, and then slowly rolling down. You might allow your hands to come to your calf. Maybe you reach your ankle. Being mindful of the tightness of the backs of your legs, and keep a micro bend in that knee if it's necessary. And then imagine someday you might be able to have your knee and forehead meet. Maybe that day will be tomorrow. Maybe that day will be in a couple breaths. And then while we're down here, take your right hand and cross it over to the inner arch of your right foot. And then take your left hand out to your left knee. And then extend that left hand up to the sky. It's almost if I'm opening and I'm creating like an L with both my legs and my hands, just opening upwards. And then turn your left hand so that the palm is facing me, and allow it to come back along the body. Maybe it wraps around, maybe it can reach that inner crease of the right hip. And then investigate where it feels best for your neck, looking up, looking down and out, or maybe looking at your right hand and right toe. Breathing here, this little open pretzel. And then on your next inhale, releasing that left hand up and bringing it down. Bringing your right hand in, and then allowing yourself to slowly lift your spine. Looking over to the right side, and then slowly looking over to the left side. Taking a counter twist here. Inhale as you come back to center, both legs out in front, giving them a little bounce, just like we did before. Keeping that left leg out straight and bringing that right one in so that you make that L with your legs. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhale as you allow the chest to open over, twisting to the left a bit. And then on your next exhale, slowly allowing your hands to come down and allowing yourself to fall over that left leg. Keeping that micro bend in the left knee. Maybe you reach the calf. Maybe you reach your ankle or your toes. And with every inhale and exhale, imagine as if your body is getting closer to the nose and the knee touching. And then let's take that left hand and walk it over to the inner arch of the left foot. Get a nice grip here. And then allow that right hand to come back to the right knee. And then slowly bring that right hand up and over. Feeling that stretch. Maybe you take that right hand up over your head. Or maybe you flip it, and then I now should have the top of my hand facing my right knee, and I'm turning that hand, wrapping it down and around. Maybe eventually it will be able to fit in that crease of my left hip. And then just like on the other side, just investigating where it feels a nice stretch for your neck. Looking up, looking out, or looking down. Inhaling and exhaling. Then on your next inhale, slowly unwind that right arm, bringing it up overhead and then down in front of your body, releasing that left hand, sitting upright, and then slowly coming over, looking out over your left shoulder. And then inhale as you work your way to an exhale out over your right shoulder for that counter twist. Inhale as you bring both legs out in front, giving them a little bit of a bounce once again here. And then bringing your feet down onto the earth, scooting your butt a little bit closer to the middle of the mat, and then working your way, coming down onto the mat, releasing your legs out in front. And let's take an inhale here, bringing our hands up overhead, pointing our toes. And just like we did earlier in class, just imagining that early morning stretch, inhaling. And then exhale, allowing your hands to come down alongside your waist. Resting here in our final pose, Shavasana. Allowing your body to take up whatever space it needs, whatever distance between the ankles and then between the wrist and the hip joints. Closing your eyes if that feels okay for you. And then let's take two nice, long, strong inhales. The first one, inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth, open. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling with an open mouth. Rest here. Listening to the sound of my voice, slowly start to increase the depth and the length of your inhale. And then increasing the length of the exhale. Keeping your eyes with a soft gaze or closed, go ahead and roll onto your right side, bringing your knees into your chest, coming to that fetal position. And then breathing here. And then press down into the earth with the top left hand, slowly allowing yourself to rise up, coming into a comfortable seat. Maybe your eyes are still closed, or maybe that soft gaze is what you prefer. And then once you've come to that stacked spine position, inhale and bring your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale as you take them back and drop them down. Let's do that again. Inhale, rolling the shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, dropping them down and back. A couple more like that. Inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, down and back. And then allowing your spine to stack naturally upon itself, bringing your hands to heart center. And then feeling the breath as it expands throughout the ribs, the front and back body. And if you'd like to join me on the inhale for Om, let's inhale together. And maybe you bring your hands up to the heart's center, that third eye. And maybe you bow forward and down, sealing our time together. Pausing here at the earth and thanking yourself for making time for your practice today. Rising up when it feels right for you. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.